Corinne, are you gonna share your screen or do you...
Hey folks, how's it going? My name is Rosendo Pili, Customer Success Manager here at Major League Hacking. I just want to thank everyone for joining us this weekend at Shark Hacks 3. We've got a couple of awesome guests that are about to do a presentation for y'all. They're from Ford, software engineers from Ford by the name of Corinne Gann and Birol Guldal. And they're going to be talking to you about their stories, how they got started in tech, how they ended up at Ford, and all of the opportunities that are going to be available to you if you do decide, that's a place that you want to apply to, or that's a place that you want to take your first step or your next step in your tech career. So, without further ado, I'm just going to go ahead and add them to the stream here. Please give them a warm reception. There goes Corinne. Feel free to unmute yourselves, y'all. Yeah, that's about it.
Hi, everyone. Happy to be here. Happy to meet you all.
Hi there. I'm going to share my screen.
Okay, I can get going. Hi, everyone. I'm Birol. I'm a software engineer at Ford Motor Company. I'm currently working with the Webdo team. It's web-based dealer ordering team. I will talk about my team later on. Corinne, you can go on to the next slide. So a little bit of a background about myself. I graduated from Wayne State University, located in Detroit. I graduated last year. Studied computer science. When I was a student at Wayne State University, I was a part of the car lab where we kind of designed and try to build demo autonomous vehicles. We did research on autonomous vehicles. So I was part of that lab. And my junior year, I was a intern at Ford. I worked with the application hosting team. They dealt with mainly the server side of the things, where we used Jenkins, Habitat, kind of just a service provisioning type of stuff. I also work with the Ford Cloud service. Corinne, you can do the next one. So my current role as of now, I'm with the Webdo team. As I said, it is a web-based dealer ordering system. Our web page is mainly used by the dealers. Dealers go onto my website to order their cars, customize their cars for our customers, whether it be retail, stock, fleet, or wholesale. You can go to the next one so I can show them pictures of my webpage. So this is kind of when you walk into a dealer, this is pretty much what the dealer will use to order your car. So up top, we have the options of the cars. So you can pick the Escape, you can pick the F-150 or the Edge, any type of vehicle the dealer can pick, and they can customize it to your liking. So to the top of the screen, we have a dashboard, we have an order screen, and then we also have a wholesale screen. So the dealers mainly use the orders tab in the middle to customize the car and be able to order it. So once the car is ordered from this website, it will go to the factory, and this customized order will be taken by another team, by another application, and the car will be started to be built. We call that scheduled. So when they order it from my website, it will be in an unscheduled state. And once it gets transferred over to the other team's application, it will be scheduled. And once a vehicle is scheduled, it cannot be unscheduled anymore. And then once this car is ready to go, we will receive the information back from the team and transfer that information back to the dealer. So to the right of the screen, you can see my name. So that will be changed to whatever the dealer's name is. And that name is based off of, to the left of the screen, you can see the numbers F83000. That's pretty much a test dealer we have. But every dealer within the United States, Canada, Mexico, they all get their unique ID code. And that ID code is used to identify not only the members of the so it is used to identify the dealers as well as the members of the team. You can get to the next one. So this is pretty much the recommendations page, drop-down menu. So the dealers can, like I said, can order a stock order. They can order a fleet order. Fleet would be more of a government contracted vehicles. Stock will be the cars that the dealer agreed to purchase from Ford. Or they can do a retail order, which is the customer would walk into the dealership, they would customize the car to their liking, and the dealership will go onto this website and customize the car and order it for the customer. The next page will show you what the customization process looks like. So they pick a year of the vehicle, they pick a type, whether it be fleet, stock, or retail. They assign a number. This has to be a 4-digit number, order code to the car. Again, all these vehicles are unscheduled on our website because this is a test environment that we use to test. And then they pick a body code. They pick their engine size, they pick their transmission size, wheelbase, paint, and trim. And all of these options will come with rules because certain engine sizes would not go with a certain transmission size. So we have to figure that out on the back end so that the customer or the dealership is not able to do any type of customization if it's outside of our scope. You can get to the next one, Corinne. And this is, I just want to quickly cover the wholesale page. It pretty much works the same as the order tab page. The layout is a little bit different, only because the dealers don't use this page mainly yet, because we currently have a different version of this web page, an older version. Since then, we migrated over to this new web page we built. But currently, the dealers are still feeling more comfortable using that older user face for the wholesale tab. But in the following years, we will be customizing this page to look just like the orders tab page. So I can talk about the tech stack we use for this application. What we use mainly for our backend is Java. Throughout Ford, Java is mainly used for our backends. Many teams use Java. They can have multiple applications, but one of their applications, I think it's safe to say that we'll use Java. For our front end, we use JavaScript. We do have a SQL database. We also have for our microservices, we're currently using a Jenkins pipeline. My team currently migrated to GitHub for our repository, but prior to that, we were using an application called Accurev. But that migration process is done, so we are currently using GitHub. And just to talk about how my team operates, we are using an agile process in our team. We are practicing pair programming. Pair programming is huge for Ford, as well as our team. We either do throughout our daily work days, we either pair program or we do mobbing sessions. So the pair programming would be you meeting up with another programming, and one of you would be driving the session, and you would just take turns every 15 minutes. And the mobbing session will kind of work in the same fashion, but there would just be more than 2 people in the session. And it's totally acceptable for multiple people to drive, and then one person to just type. And that way we found out that we can solve problems easily. Not only that, but we do have new members coming in all the time, so it's an easier way to onboard new members. They get an idea of the application, the back end, the front end very quickly by just implementing these pairing and mobbing sessions. So that's pretty much it for me. I think the next slide will be my questions. If you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Cool. I'll get started with my presentation.
I think I got a question, but are we going to answer them at the end? We can just answer them at the end, I guess. Corinne, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, no worries either way. Cool. So I'll introduce myself real quick. My name is Corinne Gann. I'm a full stack software engineer at Ford. I've been working on the same team, Ford Telematics, for 3 years now. So with this presentation, I just want to give you a little bit of background what Ford Telematics is, and then also how we develop, right? It's very similar to what was just mentioned, and then also our tech stack. To give you a little bit of background on myself, I'm a non-traditional student. I went back to school a little later in life. I graduated 3 years ago. I don't actually have a computer science degree. I kind of decided when I was done with or halfway done with school that this is what I wanted to do. So I kind of found my way to internships and just general jobs in the software industry while I was attending the University of Michigan. And then now I'm here at Ford. So what is Ford Telematics? I'm sure none of you have really heard about it because it's very oriented to the fleet market. So Ford Telematics is a web application that gives fleet managers real-time and historical observation into their daily fleet operations. If you don't really know what a fleet is, it's just a group of vehicles owned or leased by a business, government agency, or any other organization other than an individual, right? Like the consumer is normally, like consumer products are more for individual-based things. So how do we do this, right? So fleet managers have a really challenging job because fleets can vary anywhere sized from like 10 vehicles to thousands of vehicles, right? And so they actually have to know who has these vehicles, right, at any given time. So what driver has them? What's the health status of the vehicle? Like, does it need maintenance? Has there been a recall issued on these vehicles? As well as like, where exactly in the world is my car, right? So how do we answer those questions? And how did we like make all of this happen? This Ford Telematics being this very one-stop shop where you can do all of that. So vehicles emit hundreds of signals every second, especially like modern vehicles. The amount of data that is tracked and signals that are emitted is wild, right? And it's really cool. So if a customer decides to sign up with Ford Telematics, they obviously have to sign a lot of consent forms. Their drivers know that they're being tracked and everything. So if you have a modern car today, it's not like Ford is just watching you at all times. So with that live data, we have a third-party application that's owned by Ford, actually called Autonomic. So they actually deal with that big data. Us on Ford Telematics don't really deal with, we're not data scientists necessarily. So we tap into a live feed and we process the messages that we really care about, right? Using event hubs, we throw a lot away. Then we display those signals that we want to the user. Here's kind of an example of our live map application where we'll show like the vehicle moving. We have emit rates varying from 5 seconds to 60 seconds. It all depends on like what the customer is like enrolled in. So with this live map, we can show many different signal or like little icons mentioning what's going on. Like if they're excessively speeding, there will be an icon. If the driver's not like buckled up, right, it will show like not buckled up icon. And if they get into an accident as well, the fleet manager on this live map and anywhere across Ford Telematics will be like notified, right? Like with a very disruptive message saying, hey, your driver's been into an accident. They also will get an email and a text alert. So this ensures like the driver's safe, right? Like for telematics, we care about the vehicles, but we also care about the people. This live map also like a really cool, weird, like real world application that we've noticed is we've actually recovered a lot of stolen vehicles because dealerships are kind of one of our big customers. And so sometimes cars get stolen and they use Ford Telematics to recover those. I mentioned earlier, we also like retain history, right? This is really important for fleet managers if like maybe an incident happened where a driver got into an accident or like they went out of their jurisdiction if they're in the police and like, like reports need to be filed. So we retain this history for a year and a day, I believe is the rules that we have set. And so fleet managers can then export this as a CSV, attach it to a report if they need to. So with Ford Telematics, we're also preparing for the future of battery electric vehicle fleets. This is like a huge upcoming thing, right? Within Ford, we have the Ford F-150 Lightning that's like about to be launched, the Mach-E, and then we have those e-transits, which will probably be our main vehicles that will be purchased by fleets. I highly doubt there's going to be many fleets of Mach-E's out there. It'd be pretty cool though. So this is the team that I've been working on. We've been developing something called departure preconditioning for the past 8 months. This is actually our second design iteration. So we've kind of rewritten it a few times, but just sometimes that happens, right? So what preconditioning is it like climatizes the batteries, right? So when batteries get cold in the winter, we know like the range is almost like cut in half, right? It's crazy. So setting these schedules allows like the fleet manager to be like, hey, my fleet leaves at 8 a.m. every day. Like I want my battery to be climatized, preconditioned, then my drivers can get the like furthest and best battery efficiency, right? So here's just a little demo of how we can add those departure times. I just wanted to show it off a little bit because we're really excited about it. It's been a really big feat that my team went through. And we actually just launched a prod this week. So we're really happy about that. All right. And this will kind of build off of the last presentation. How do we develop? As mentioned earlier, we are an extreme programming environment here at Ford, which is just a basic subset of Agile framework, right? So we have those daily stand-ups, but we also pair program, as mentioned earlier. There's lots of benefits to it. Code reviews are no longer needed. You're fully supported by your team. There's no knowledge silos, which I feel like can kind of happen sometimes when you're, developing independently. And it gives you kind of that nice life work-life balance where you can take a week off and not like be super stressed about that ticket you left behind, right? Like, and you can learn so much. When I first came in, I was obviously a very junior developer and was paired with a senior guy for a really long time. And I learned so much, right? And it's still stuff that I use today. We also are test-driven development. So we write our tests first, we develop our code, watch it pass, and then move on, right? So we do something called red-green refactor, really common practice. As a part of extreme programming, that means we're continuous integration and deployment. So we run Jenkins pipelines and test all of our unit tests and end-to-end every time we make a pull request, and then we merge into master. And then once again, when we deploy to production every Tuesday. So we're on a release cadence of once a week. We also are microservices, which we just actually went over to after like last year. We were still a monolith. So we've ripped everything apart. Every new service we make is that microservice. Microservices that are independent can be deployed on demand. And what is our tech stack at Ford Telematics? It's a little bit different than the other presentation. We use Vue.js for our front end and Bootstrap components as well. Our back end is actually developed in Kotlin. If you're not familiar with Kotlin, it's based off of Java. It's really awesome. Like I love it. And then we use Spring Boot framework. We have SQL databases as well. We utilize Microsoft Azure and Pivotal Cloud Foundry to host our applications in the cloud. I think Ford's kind of doing a big effort in the next few years. We'll be migrating over to the Google Cloud services. But for right now, we're Microsoft Azure. All right. So yeah, I think now we can go to questions, if there are any.
Okay, what happens if the customer cancels the order? So they do get a brief period to cancel their order when the car's first ordered. It'd be in an unscheduled state. As long as it's in that state, they can make any changes. They can cancel it. But once the car is in a scheduled state, they won't be able to cancel the order anymore.
And then, is that like, what are the DevOps role? Maybe. Yeah. At least on our team, the role is they set up, all of the Jenkins pipelines as well as monitor the services and stand them up. As full stack engineers, we kind of do everything. Maybe it's a little bit different on your team.
It is pretty much the same. Like they might be setting up our Ford Cloud Foundry service. They might help us with server provisioning, stuff like that. But again, all of our team members are also knowledgeable. So if anything, we can always jump in and get the process going.
Exactly. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, we had another question too. Is Ford based in Detroit?
Yes.
Up at the top. Yep. Yep. Dearborn. So basically Detroit, right? So right now, at least on my team, we're hiring people all over the country. I don't know if it's the same for you, but I'm part of the interview team, and I've seen people, from the West Coast that wake up every morning at 5 a.m. for stand up. They're crazy, but they do it, and it just shows we have a great team to work on. I'm not sure about this one. If Ford
yes, the
yeah.
answer is yes. When I was an intern, I did do a hackathon. We were given just like general ideas of what Ford is trying to accomplish in the industry, and we just built ideas around that. And then when I joined as a full-timer, I did another hackathon, kind of similar to it. And when I was an intern, I got to present to the higher ups If you end up winning, you get to meet the higher ups, you get to talk to them and present your ideas to them. So it was pretty cool.
That's awesome. Cool. Outside of tech stack knowledge, what other skills does Ford look for? At least on my team, they definitely look for, like, can you work as a team? That's like super important, right? With the paired programming, you have to, you have to be able to work together, and like, we really like to have fun too, so even if you don't have knowledge of the tech stack, like, it's a great place to learn it as well. Like, I wasn't extremely knowledgeable with what we utilize on my team, and everything I've learned, regarding them is at work. So, yeah.
I agree. Being a team member is huge, as well as being able to pick up new technologies and willing to just learn them, because you will be surrounded by senior developers willing to teach you during your mobbing and pairing sessions, as long as you're willing to learn and willing to put the effort in. What was the biggest learning curve you had to come over at Ford? I think the biggest learning curve ends up being the tech stack, learning the tech stack. And the biggest struggle for me was I did projects and I was in a lab in school, but I never had the chance to work on a code base this big. So the pipelines, like the database, how everything connects to each other. So it was a big learning curve. Another learning curve for me was when I was primary on Prod Sport, when I was supporting production, and I just didn't know what was broken. And when I found out what was broken, I didn't know how to fix it. So it was always me pinning or like asking the senior developers, "Hey, what's the issue? How do I fix it?" So that was one of my biggest learning curves.
Yeah, there's nothing scarier than being on prod support for the first time. Yeah. Yeah, for me, I would agree. Learning such a large code base is really intimidating. And then working alongside senior engineers at first, too, it's like you're really stressed out. But I feel like that was more of like just the overwhelmingness of it all, but that doesn't last long and it's awesome.
Yeah.
What's your favorite part about working for Ford? Oh man, I don't know. I really like everything about it. The pair programming at first for me, I thought I wasn't going to like it, right? I really enjoy that. I love that I learn something new every day. And then, I get to work on something different at least, every other day. And the people, like, I have an awesome team.
For me as well, yeah, I think a team makes the biggest difference.
Mm-hmm.
But the biggest thing I like about my team is that, like, I don't get a story and work on it on my own. Every story I get, there's always people around me working with me. We're always sharing ideas. We're always trying to there's a sense of ownership around our product. We're always trying to improve and change, whether it be big thing or a small thing. We're always there to just improve our product.
Yeah, there's like no finger pointing, like
Yeah.
There's this like support system that we all have together, and we want to be better together. Do you want to start?
Okay. For me, the next step would be so the program I'm in with Ford allows me to switch teams for 3 years, once a year. So the next step for me is taking my learnings from the team I'm on and moving on to the next team.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely know Ford promotes kind of a lot of rotation. You're probably part of the FCG program, but
Yes.
even if you're like a normal Ford employee, right? They really in tech, they promote you to like really switch teams every few years. They don't want you really to get stagnant, right? So I'm like an anchor on my team, which is like the more senior level thing. So for me as well, I think it would be at some point switching teams, learning different technologies within Ford, and just continuing, to grow.
Yeah, with that being said, I think people don't realize how big Ford is and how many teams there are within the company, and how many different roles you can take on. So there's always, I find that if there's something you're interested in or a product you're interested in, you can always reach out to them and be able to learn more about the product. And eventually, if you're very interested in it and want to become a part of that team, Ford definitely allows you to make that move.
Exactly. Awesome.
Great questions.
Yeah, definitely. Right. Awesome.
Okay, we got another one.
What made you choose Ford?
For me, go ahead.
No, go.
Okay, for me, well, prior to Ford, I was I think being around like Dearborn or the Detroit area, like you just know about Ford a lot. You hear about Ford a lot. It's a familiar company. That was one thing. And while I was in college, I was just in just labs related to cars, autonomous vehicles. So that just drew interest. And then I ended up getting my internship, and I really liked the company. I liked the support system that they had. And most importantly, just the technology stacks people were using. You wouldn't think a car company will be using technologies this advanced or be using development strategies like this advanced. So that just drew me more into Ford, joining Ford. So as prior to my graduation, I ended up taking an offer.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's the biggest thing is, especially if you're from Michigan, Ford is like one of the big three. I grew up, super into cars. My grandparents raced actually Formula Ford. So, like it's really cool that like, I get to share my car passion and like work for a company, and like maybe the project I'm not working on right now is super car related, but maybe in the future it will. Yeah, it's a really good company that cares about its employees too, which is really helpful. Awesome. Well, it's been really fun to talk about, what we do here. Right.
Yeah, great questions all around. I just wanted to jump in and check in on y'all. And really, up until this point, thank you so much for joining us on the stream and
Of course,
letting everyone know what your experience has been like at Ford. If there are no other questions, I did just want to mention that there will be information for anyone out there still interested to go check out other careers at Ford. So here in the chat, you'll see that I've left a link to the summer internship program, and there is also a more general link for students and recent grads where you can go and find out more about all of the career opportunities at Ford, become like Corinne and Birol, maybe even join their team potentially. Yeah, I mean, that's it. Oh, one question here. One other thing I did want to mention, if you folks out there are actually looking to submit to the Ford prize category this weekend, we do have an Ask Ford channel on our Discord. So head over there and, feel free to drop in a question, and, we'll get to it. We'll get to it in a timely fashion, and we'll see whether or not it's something that we can actually answer from a technical perspective. But if it's just something like to drop in and say hi, that's also welcome. So yeah, I mean, that's about it. Anything else y'all want to say?
No, just thanks for having us.
Great. There you have it, directly from Corinne and Birol. They are thankful for us having them, but
we are also part of the Discord group. If you guys want to reach out, feel free to.
Yeah, absolutely. So with that being said, we'll go ahead and wrap this up. Thanks once again for joining us, everyone out there, and for a special thanks to Corinne Gann and Birol Guldal. Much success in all of your future endeavors, and we look forward to keeping in touch. That being said, have a good day, y'all.
Thanks everyone. Thank you.